If you open up the book of Romans to chapter 4, you find one of the most foundational truths in all of Scripture. It's what we call the Abrahamic pattern. It's this unchanging, grace-filled way that God has always made people right with himself.
It's so easy to look at an ancient text and think, that it's just old. But these words, they are quietly explosive. They hold a truth so powerful and so completely opposite to our human instincts that it can literally dismantle everything we think we know about religion and what it takes to stand before a holy God. So that's the big question, right? That's what we're going to dive into together. I want you to try and forget everything you might think about earning God's favor. Because this passage, it doesn't just offer a new idea, it delivers a verdict from heaven that changes absolutely everything. So where does the Apostle Paul start his case? He takes us way back to the beginning, to the father of faith himself, Abraham. But here's the thing. Abraham isn't just some nice story or a good example to try and follow. No, he is presented here as the definitive binding pattern for all time. Paul's argument is just devastatingly simple. Think about it. If Abraham, the patriarch of the entire nation, was made right with God by faith before he did any religious work, well then it has always been by faith. This isn't some new plan for a new era. This is the original plan. So we have to ask, what even is this faith we're talking about? So often, we try to turn faith itself into a kind of work, right? We measure how sincere it is, how intense it is, or how much moral improvement it's producing. But Paul just demolishes that idea. True faith is not another human effort. It is the end of all human effort. It's about letting go of any boasting. It's the empty hands that simply receive. That's it. And this, right here, brings us to Paul's masterstroke. This is the irrefutable evidence that seals his case, and it all comes down to a really simple question of timing. He drops a theological bomb, basically, by turning our attention from what Abraham did to when God declared him righteous. The book of Genesis just lays it all out for us. First, God makes this impossible promise to Abraham. Then, in Genesis chapter 15, verse 6, we see the moment of trust. Abraham believed the Lord, and he counted it to him as righteousness. Right there. That's the moment. He is declared righteous. Now notice what comes years later, the religious rite of circumcision and a whole lifetime of obedience. The verdict came first. This simple timeline has a revolutionary result. Getting right with God is not the reward you get at the end of a good life. It is the divine gift that ignites a whole new life. It's not a wage we earn, it is a creative act of God, speaking righteousness into existence where there was none before. Okay, so what was the point of circumcision then? Or for us, what about things like baptism? Well, in Romans chapter 4, verse 11, Paul totally redefines them. He calls circumcision a sign and a seal of the righteousness Abraham already had by faith. You see, a sign just points to a reality that's already there. A seal confirms something is authentic. It doesn't create it. These acts are beautiful responses to grace, never the source of it. Now, this truth about faith, wow, it has massive world-altering implications for who belongs in God's family. I mean, if righteousness is a free gift that you just receive by faith, then the doors to that family swing open in a way nobody could have ever expected. The logic here is just so pure and beautiful. The way into God's family has always been the same. It's not about becoming like Abraham ethnically or culturally. It's about becoming like him in his faith. You have to enter through the very same door he did. And let's be crystal clear, that door was never ethnicity, it was never your performance of the law or any religious ritual. The way in has always been simple, naked trust in the promise of God, just believing he'll do what he said he'll do. And this just levels the ground at the foot of the cross and makes the family of God radically, wonderfully inclusive. And the immediate result of this grace is just profound. If righteousness is a free gift, then absolutely no one can stand before God and claim they're somehow superior. There's no room for spiritual pride, no moral high ground, no ethnic advantage. Boasting isn't just humbled, it is utterly eliminated. All of this, Abraham's faith, God's promise, this whole pattern of grace, you know where it's all heading, right? It's all pointing forward to one person. The entire argument of this chapter finds its ultimate focus and glorious fulfillment in Jesus Christ. Just look at this beautiful progression. You have Abraham, believing God could bring life from the deadness of his and Sarah's bodies, which is really a shadow of what was to come. Then you have Jesus Christ, who is the substance. He's the one who actually brings life from the dead through his resurrection. So Abraham looked forward to a promise he couldn't fully see. We look back to the very person he was looking toward. So let's pull all this together. Let's really summarize the powerful verdict that Romans 4 delivers. It completely reorders our entire spiritual world. It builds a foundation not on our striving, but on God's unshakable grace. Okay, first things first, we are made right with God not because we obey, but so that we can joyfully obey from a new heart. The verdict of righteous always comes first. Second, and this follows right from that, we do not behave our way into God's family. We are welcomed into the family by grace alone, which then begins to transform our behavior from the inside out. Third, God's grace finds us before and underneath any other identity we might claim for ourselves, whether that's ethnic, cultural, or moral. His grace is what defines us. And finally, the life-changing transformation we all long for, it's not the cause of our acceptance with God. It is the beautiful, inevitable result of it, and it's sparked by the simple act of faith. And this is the final, glorious truth. Jesus isn't looking for morally upright people to reward. As Paul says, God justifies the ungodly. He seeks out the broken, the empty-handed, and he gives them his own perfect righteousness as a gift. He doesn't find righteous people. By his grace, through faith, he creates them.